Welcome to Police Custody Basics, and in this input I just want to discuss a couple of issues in relation to the MGDDC, also known as the hospital procedure, particularly the issue around the doctor's parameters from the hospital, and also if the subject provides any form of medical reason. And the key words that I want to emphasise is for the officer, investigating officer, if a suspect gives any sort of medical reason in relation to not being able to give the blood, you accept it or you doubt it, but you cannot dismiss it. And I'm going to go into some of these issues now. So the hospital doctor and the right of objection then. So at C6, the doctor and the right of objection, you're not asking for the hospital doctor's permission in order to take the blood. You're asking for their objections to you doing that procedure. That's all. The hospital doctor cannot assess that the person is fit for the procedure, and they cannot conduct the forensic procedure neither. So hospital doctor, it's about the right of objection for them. And at C6, it says here that there's only one ground that the hospital doctor can say in relation to objection, and that is that it would be prejudicial to the proper care and treatment of the patient. That is the only ground that they can object from. So at section C6, the investigating officer says to the hospital doctor that they propose to call the healthcare professional to examine this person. So then the investigating officer works their way through the form and they end up at section C14. Now C14 is them talking to the detainee, and at section C14 it's the investigating officer to the detained person that you're telling that person that the hospital doctor has no objection. Not that the hospital doctor has given permission, it's that the hospital doctor has no objection. Now then, specifically in the wording, it is for the investigating officer to say to the subject, you may inform the doctor or healthcare professional, so the forensic healthcare professional or forensic doctor, of medical reasons why a specimen of blood cannot be taken. So it's not for the detained person to say this to the hospital doctor, it's for them to say it to either the forensic doctor or the forensic healthcare professional. Then from this section, the officer then will work their way through to sections C21 and C22, which is around the fact that whether C22 is if a medical reason is claimed, and C21 is if no medical reason is claimed. So let's imagine at C22, medical reason claimed is either phobia of needles or just that they're too unwell to go through the procedure. So I've had both of those reasons given in relation to hospital procedures. So they have given a medical reason. Now for the officer, you either accept the medical reason or you doubt it, but you cannot dismiss it. Yet what I often hear and see is that the officer will say things to the subject such as, that is not a specified medical condition. They don't have to give a specified medical condition. They give a medical reason or not. If they give a medical reason, then it is for the officer to accept it or doubt it, but they cannot dismiss it. So if they said, well, I'm just generally medically too unfit, too unwell to do it, or I've got a needle phobia, they've given a medical reason, or what they think is a medical reason, but at C22B, if there are grounds to doubt that medical reason, so the officer may doubt it, and the officer is still wishing for a specimen of blood, they need to call the forensic doctor or the healthcare professional and then move to C23. So you can't just say it's not a specified medical condition and therefore you have failed to provide. They have given a medical reason. That HCP now needs to be called. Now, another thing that I've heard a couple of times recently as well is whether this is true or not, but the officer's saying to the subject that they must guarantee one way or the other, are they going to provide blood, otherwise the HCP will not travel to the hospital. Well, that's not part of the procedure. The subject has the right to say or claim that there's a medical reason. The officer then has the right to doubt that medical procedure, and then they need to call the HCP. The HCP service then needs to send a HCP to the hospital. That is without any 100% guarantee from the subject that they will proceed and go through to finally give the specimen. So it's for the HCP to then arrive at the hospital and for the procedure to continue from there. But the two areas that I just wanted to cover in that short input was one about the hospital doctor. They are not a forensic, they're not performing the role of the forensic doctor in this procedure, and they can only object to the procedure. They do not give consent to the procedure. They've only got the right of objection. And secondly, if a subject claims a medical reason, there's no such list called specified medical conditions for that list. If they give a reason and they say it's a medical reason, whether that is needle phobia, generally unwell, whether, whatever the medical reason they claim is a medical reason, the investigating officer either accepts it or doubts it. They cannot dismiss it. And if they doubt it, they must then bring the HCP to the hospital and continue the MGDDC procedure with the HCP present. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you very much.